I think Cars is a very underrated Pixar movie. By the way, this is a Superman video. You didn't click on the wrong one. Unless you didn't mean to click on a Superman video, in which case I guess you did. Mainly because people kind of write it off as a simple little movie that has anthropomorphic cars because why not? But I think it's a little more than that. Because Cars is a movie about American culture and how, over time, it's degraded. And what better way to do that than a bastion of American culture, the car. Once beautiful works of art on wheels, over time just turned ugly due to a culture that was increasingly sterile, soulless, and oh so egotistical. You know what else is a bastion of American culture? Superheroes. More specifically, Superman. Heck, his tagline is "Truth, Justice, and the American Way." You look up Americana on Wikipedia, he is the fourth example right after blue jeans and baseball, and right before cowboys. Now, a lot of people tend to just think of patriotism as hokey over romanticism used to feed wars. And while there's some truth there, I think it's far from the whole picture. Cultures are important. People are most defined by their environment. You could have the genes of an all-star quarterback, but if you were born on a desert island with nothing but the works of Ernest Hemingway to tide you over, you might turn into more of a bookworm than an athlete. Same with a potential Harvard professor born on a desert island with nothing but workout equipment and a football is more likely to turn into an athlete. And one of the most important parts of a person's environment in the modern age is their culture. It gives you just about everything. What language you speak, what food you eat, what clothes you wear, what music you listen to, and even what principles, morals, and values you hold dear. It's an integral part of the foundation upon which individuals are formed. And without a foundation, well, you get the deal. So it only makes sense to treat it with the degree of importance it deserves. And when it's done right, to celebrate it. To hold your head high in the fact that you are of that culture. To be patriotic. American culture is important, and at its best, well worthy of patriotism. For a long time, Americans understood that, but that has definitely faded. A couple years ago, Superman's motto changed from Truth, Justice, and the American Way to Truth, Justice, and a Better Tomorrow. The reason for this was because Superman is not just an American character, he's a world character, a global character, a universal character, which I never understood. I mean, what, does he also stand for the values of North Korea, or is that not considered universal or global? It's the same way Godzilla or James Bond are loved internationally, but doesn't change the fact that Godzilla is distinctly Japanese and Bond is distinctly English. They are products of their culture and subsequently have become icons of those cultures. Being loved internationally doesn't change that. The true reason for this, I think, is something else entirely. It's funny I brought up Japanese culture because I think it's a similar phenomenon to what's happened with localizers. In case you're not aware, localizing is where you take art from, say, Japan, and instead of translating it, you change it to be more palatable to a Western audience. The classic example is how in the 90s Pokemon anime you would have scenes where characters were eating rice balls and yet they would change the words to jelly donuts. And while that example is silly, there are plenty more egregious examples. And this is a problem. Alongside changing the intent of the original artist, it tends to also have the effect of watering down the art itself. The thing is, the reason people seek out art from other cultures is because they want art from that culture. If they wanted art that was more suitable to a Western audience, they'd just consume Western art. But the thing is, they increasingly don't. More and more people are more interested in Japanese and other non-Western art because the West is not only watering down art from other cultures, it's even watering down its own culture, sterilizing it and removing its soul. Like I said with Cars, once art on wheels, now just plain ugly on wheels. America is often called a melting pot, meaning it's a combination of many cultures congealing into a single flavor that's a little bit of everything. And that primordial soup is what we call America. Don't mistake that with this. This isn't mixing everything together to make something even more unique. This is watering everything down until it's all a uniform, gray, flavorless mush. And that's the problem with modern Superman. The character, along with the culture, has been neutered of the American mystique that made him such an icon in the first place. So all that's left of the character is all that's left of the culture, which is little more than sterility and ego. Man of Steel, though there is a lot I like about it, showed a lot of the sterility, focusing more on the alien aspect of the character and lacking a lot of the essential American personality and charm of classic Superman. But for ego, the most modern Superman 25 has it on display like nothing else. It is a James Gunn movie first, and a Superman movie, well, I hate to say second or even third. It has all the essential traits of Gunn's superhero movies. A bunch of character, big focus on music, overbearing, silly humor that often undermines serious moments. Add to that a mess of a script and inconsistent pacing and tone, and you get James Gunn's Superman. But there's something more to it. Within the messy, egotistical rabble of the film, there are glimmers of greatness, hints of the charm and personality of classic Superman. And I think it's this that people who like this movie like so much about it. Even a hint of greatness is more than enough for people in a modern cultural landscape that is kind of otherwise devoid of any of it. And there is potential for those glimmers to grow. But in order to do that, it needs to bring back the distinct American charm and personality of the character. One that respects the American culture that brought the character into being. To bring back the American way. Otherwise, well, you get the picture.